half an hour. That's about how long it will take to get frostbite this morning without gloves or proper socks. We have tips for staying warm and safe today.
Those cold temperatures are why more than 50 school districts in our area are delayed or closed. We're breaking down how cold is too cold when it comes to holding class.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning. Before we get to the cold snap topping the news this morning, we're going to start this half hour with some breaking news nationally. A longtime advisor to President Trump is under arrest in Florida this morning, charged with witness tampering and other crimes. Roger Stone will be in court later today for 7 charges filed by special counsel Robert Mueller. Campaign advisors told the special counsel Stone might have connections with WikiLeaks. That's one of the organizations that made thousands of Democratic emails public before the 2016 election. One source also said Stone took credit for the timing of that information that damaged Hillary Clinton's candidacy. Now, this news is just breaking this morning. We're going to continue to bring you updates throughout the program and over on channel3000.com.
Also keeping us updated is Chris Reese over in the News 3 Weather Center, because today is going to be, again, one of those dangerously cold days.
Yeah, and this is going to be on the lower end compared to what's to come. But yeah, we do have wind chill advisories. Winter weather advisories.
Yeah,
it's all the same
all
at this point.
Yeah.
We've had all of it in the past week or so, but those wind chill advisories do go until noon. The wind chill right now has gotten slightly better, but it feels like 20 degrees below zero out there. Negative 22 as you work your way towards Janesville. Basketball, it feels like negative 23. Platteville, negative 28. Moral of the story? It's cold, and you're certainly going to want to make sure that you bundle up. Actual air temperatures around -9 in town. They're still going to fall a couple more degrees before things get better. I don't think we'll get quite down to -13, perhaps about -11, but nonetheless, it's going to be a cold day. 0 is as warm as we are going to get. Clouds increasing this afternoon with at least the possibility of a flurry or two. In addition to today's alert day, we have another one on Monday, another one next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Count them. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 alert days here in the First Alert Weather Center. And on Monday, we could be talking some substantial snow. Right now, models hinting at the possibility of a foot of snow or more. Not to be alarming, but that is just the potential that we have. We still have 3 days to track that, but we're going to watch that along with perhaps wind gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour. So this is whiteout conditions during the morning rush hour that we're watching on Monday, followed up with wind chills perhaps as cold as -50 or 60 with what some of these models are coming in for. So this is going to be one of those periods of weather that we're going to tell our grandkids about by the time we get to it, because it's been a very long time since we've had this harsh of a stretch of weather, folks.
This is nuts.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We want to make sure people do know if we can bring back your graphic there, because wind chills at this temperature can just mean really dangerous for you and your family.
Yeah, at the temperature that we have right now, you're talking frostbite anywhere from about 15 to 25 upwards of 30 minutes if you stand outside without proper covering, and especially if you're right in the wind. So it's certainly going to be cold. Layer up. By the time we get you towards next week, especially next Wednesday morning, we could see frostbite set in and perhaps 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay,
so it is certainly going to be cold here.
Here's the start of your warnings. We got a week of them coming up.
Yep, and I'll be keeping everyone up to date, and I'm all over Twitter just posting the raw data as I see it to let you guys know what this data is showing.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Chris.
Anytime.
So as we prepare for all of this cold, if you or someone you know does not have a place to stay warm and get warm, shelters here in Madison will not turn anyone away once the temperature reaches 20 below zero. Now, that is without wind chill. However, shelters were already packed to capacity or over capacity earlier this week when temperatures first dropped below zero.
Here are some of the places people can go to get out of the cold this morning. First United Methodist downtown is opening an emergency shelter from 8 until 4:30. The Beacon on East Wash opens at 8 and closes at 5. They're also going to help shuttle women and families from First United to the Salvation Army, where folks can stay overnight tonight. The Grace Drop-In Shelter and Porch Light will also be open for single men. Public places like the Capitol and Madison Public Library locations will also be open to everyone later today. So you heard Chris there. We are waking up to a wind chill of 35 below, 25 below right now, and those are the kinds of temperatures prompting a wind chill warning from the National Weather Service.
It's also the benchmark for a lot of schools in our area to keep kids home. Christina Laurie is staying inside this morning. That's what lots of school districts are telling their students to do as well. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, ladies. This morning, so far, 54 districts have canceled or delayed classes, and school administrators say there is no way to please everyone. Cancel classes and you have angry parents, hold them and students complain. They say the final decision, though, ultimately comes down to safety. Administrators here in South Central Wisconsin talked to the National Weather Service and health experts several years ago. That's when they made the call to use wind chill readings of -35 as their cutoff. So once it gets to that temperature, there is no debate. No debate until the Madison Metropolitan School District changed their guidelines to cancel classes at wind chills of -25 degrees after finding more students skipping school on extremely cold days.
It tends to be sort of a pack mentality. If one school district calls off, many of the other ones do as well. Madison sort of does their own thing. I wouldn't want to speak for them, but I think for the surrounding ones, because we're more similar. Us, Verona, Sun Prairie, Wanakee. I mean, we're suburban, but at the same time, we all have rural routes.
Classes, that's because of an already planned, not because of this cold weather. So when class is scheduled for a cold day like this, district administrators say they to make arrangements for that kids, but that doesn't.
All right, our Christina Laurie reporting live for us. Thank you, Christina.
So this cold does not just pose a risk to you and your family, perhaps your pets. It also could wreak havoc on your house. Plumbers here in Madison say running your faucets occasionally, even them letting them drip overnight is good in this kind of weather to help prevent a burst pipe or a frozen pipe. Opening cabinet doors under sinks to let some warmer air closer to the pipes and turning up your thermostat a couple degrees is also recommended. We want to remind you as well that our First Alert weather and traffic app can prepare you for anything that comes our way. Hour by the hour forecast, real-time temperatures wherever you are. All you have to do is search for the Channel 3000 app in the App Store and download it for free.
There's a warning for drivers out there to make good decisions regardless of the weather conditions. Take a look at this video. It's out of northwest Wisconsin from the Dunn County Sheriff's Office, and it shows someone illegally passing a school bus. Now, deputies were able to track down that driver and give him a ticket. The sheriff there posted it on Facebook, saying the situation easily could have ended with the death of a child.
New this morning, Madison police are looking for the person who drove into a West Side business and ran away. The car was completely inside Di Rienzo Monument when officers and firefighters arrived right around 1:30 this morning. The Tombstone business there is located at the intersection of Regent Street and Highland Avenue next to West High School. No one was in the building at the time, I should say. The driver was not on the scene, so it's unclear if that person was hurt. Anyone with information should call Madison police.
In Rock County, we now know a 41-year-old is dead from a shooting Wednesday night in Janesville. Police have 39-year-old Lucas Stewart in custody for the death of Clifford Grice, shot multiple times that night. A witness says it happened after an argument about a girlfriend. Stewart led police on a 20-mile car chase with speeds right around 90 miles an hour at one point, ending with his arrest outside Broadhead.
The man accused of killing an elderly man in a Ho-Chunk casino parking lot is being held on a $250,000 cash bail this morning in Sauk County. Robert Pulvermacher was formally charged yesterday with first-degree intentional homicide. He was arrested outside of his brother's trucking business in Madison more than a week after authorities say he stabbed an 88-year-old man to death outside of that casino in Delton.
The family of the victim, Harold Johnson, says while they're happy to see Pulvermacher behind bars, no punishment could justify their loss. They're now trying to focus on mourning the life of their grandfather. They say he was a simple man who took pleasure in the little things, like going fishing and hunting with his family. Most of all, they wish they'd had the chance to say goodbye.
I would tell him how blessed I've been to know him. Because he impacted a lot of lives, a lot of lives.
Family members say court dates to come over the next few months will be tough, but they say they'll have the strength to make it through, thanks in part to the example set by their grandfather. Great story there by Amy Reed. You can find that full interview over on channel3000.com. All right, 6:09 your time now. You're going to need all of the layers this morning with those below zero temperatures and probably even some blankets around the house. But if you have a few warm throws or comforters to share, we're going to talk with St. Vincent de Paul next about how you can help those who don't.
You'll want to make sure there's an emergency blanket in the car this morning. Firefighters in Lancaster say their town lost power for a couple hours overnight just as temperatures started to drop. Chris has more on the day's dangerous cold and more to come when News 3 This Morning returns.
Wind chills this morning, more than 20 degrees below zero for a lot of spots. Negative 20 right now in Madison. Janesville, 22 degrees below zero. Wautoma at 29 degrees below zero. The Dells, 25 degrees below zero. It is certainly a very cold morning out there. We do have those wind chill advisories in effect until noon, and that's just because at noon things get better, but it's still going to be very cold out there. We may even see more winter weather or wind chill advisories rather as we go into your Saturday morning as well. We do have wind chill warnings across parts of eastern Iowa and northwestern Illinois, but those wind chill advisories include all of Wisconsin, back through all of Minnesota and parts of North Dakota as well. And as we continue on through the day, here's how things begin to get better. By 10 o'clock, those wind chills will be right around negative 20 for a lot of folks. By lunchtime, negative 10 towards negative 15 with the colder wind chills as you work your way further towards the lakeshore where things will be just a little bit windier towards the afternoon. During the warmest part of the day, expect wind chills to be right around negative 9 with actual air temperatures closer to zero. So then we cool down again as we head into your Saturday. This is 2 o'clock in the morning. Wind chills between negative 15 and negative 20 in some spots, getting even colder from there. But by the time a lot of us begin to wake up on Saturday, those wind chills will likely be right around negative 10 or so and really hanging out between negative 10 to negative 15 throughout the day on Saturday. Now, actual air temperatures are 9 degrees below zero right now. We'll drop another degree or two towards negative 11 and then warm up to a nice and toasty 0. At least there's not a minus sign in front of that as we get you towards the afternoon. Some cloud cover moves in as well, but the reality is we have this Arctic high pressure on top of us. It's going to be keeping the cold around. That begins to shift as we head towards Sunday, but then more is on the way. But we're in what we call cross-polar flow. A lot of that coldest air on the globe runs across the North Pole right into the upper Midwest. And as we head towards the middle of next week, some of the coldest air on the planet, folks, will be right on top of us here. Here's the core of that cold. We call this the polar vortex, which is essentially the region of low pressure that spins over the poles. But it works its way on down, settles in over the Great Lakes, and really takes grip on the eastern half of the country before trying to relax a little bit. Then we're going to have to watch this as we head into the first week of February. But in the meantime, folks, expect by next week, we could have days that struggle to get above -5. For your high, we have a forecast high of -6 by next week, and that could be even colder. We're going to watch that one closely. We also have to watch for the possibility of a major winter storm during your Monday morning commute that could have a lot of wind with it as well. This is the GFS at 7 o'clock Monday morning with a lot of that heaviest snow around, keeping that snow around until 6 o'clock on Monday afternoon. Here's another model. This is the European showing the same setup with the snow moving in Sunday night throughout Monday morning and then lasting through Monday evening. So, of course, we're going to be watching that one very closely. But temperatures are coming down, folks. 5 alert days in our forecast. That is the most in the history of this station, and that was almost 8 alert days there. But, hey, the light at the end of the tunnel comes by next Sunday. We're talking 24 degrees. How about that one instead of -24 for a change? Yes, hands up, Danica. I saw what you were doing there. But it is certainly going to be a cold couple of days. And what we have out there today is just the beginning of things that are getting colder, folks.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And let's toss it over, if we can, now to Josh Tim with a look at traffic.
Yeah, not a bad start on the Beltline this morning. Things moving well from end to end. Just a few of the usual brake lights beginning to show up westbound near the Stoughton Road exit. Other roads here in Dane County looking pretty good right now. Just some of the usual slowdowns also showing up on northbound Verona Road near the Beltline. No delays downtown and around UW campus. And other main routes heading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. For your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Silver lining of cold here, Josh. No traffic backups like we saw with the snow. Thank you so much. All right, considering this forecast especially, St. Vincent de Paul wants to make sure everyone in our community has a warm blanket this winter.
Yeah, News 3 is a proud sponsor of the 27th annual Recycle the Warmth Blanket Drive happening this weekend. Lauren Kinnair is the Senior Director of Community over at St. Vinny's. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, and thanks for being sponsors for all of these years. It makes a huge difference.
Of course. We're really proud to be. You know, this has been going on for 27 years. You've been part of it for 4. What about this particular initiative really touches your heart?
Well, the fact that all of us woke up this morning, some of us very early, and we had
all of us very early. Let's be clear, yes.
And we were under those warm blankets. And, you know, imagine you're sleeping in your coat, or imagine that you've got just, you know, bath towels tossed over you because you don't have a blanket. It is such a simple human need that to think that there are people in our community who have homes, they have an apartment, but they don't have enough cash to put together to have a blanket on their bed. Just imagine that.
Wow.
That's what touches my heart.
And you've been doing this, again, 27 years. Imagine how many people you folks have helped out so far.
I think it's very many people. We don't even have the numbers on that one. But sort of how the program works is we'll give away about 6,000 to 7,000 blankets every year. So right now, this is sort of our big, you know, stockpile of the blankets. And we have new blankets that we have a special price at one of our Shopko stores here in the Madison area. And we also accept other people's donated blankets. So if you've got a cabinet full of blankets and you're doing the Marie Kondo thing, this is a good time. Give that blankie a hug, throw it in the washing machine if it didn't spark joy in your heart, and bring it over to a St. Vinny's store or one of the 3 Shopko stores here in Madison. We've also got 40-some churches that are involved that on Sunday will have bins out, and their job is just to collect those blankets, which we in turn collect.
Love that. Lauren, we just saw some pictures of some of your volunteers there as well. Is there something beyond just warmth that a blanket gives someone?
Well, if you think about maybe when you were, you know, 1 or 2 years old, you may have had a special blankie in your life. And I think just the word blanket, you know, it's sort of, it talks of comfort, it talks about being surrounded by something loving and warm.
Secure.
There's a lot going on with a blanket.
You know what I
It
mean?
is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a funny photo that I think I sent to you, one of our volunteers all wrapped up in a blanket, because we do more than sleep with blankets, right? We sit on the couch, we snuggle with them, we put the cat on our lap. good things happen with blankets.
Briefly, for folks who want to help out, how can they?
Think about, again, stopping at one of our Madison area Shopko stores. You know, Shopko's in a little bit of a business change at this point in life. So the Monona Shopko store has special blankets that they have purchased for us. They'll be available for $12.99 on Friday and Saturday. Folks can just stop in the lobby. Our volunteers will be there to talk a little bit about the program. The blankies will be right there on the shelf. You just make a purchase and toss it in a bin, and then we'll come pick it up. And again, if you've got blankets that you want to bring to donate, we do like them to be clean and in good condition, of course. Bring those over, pop them in the bin. The two Shopko stores on the east and west side are in a little bit of a business change. They won't have the $12.99 blanket available. They will have other blankets, though, and since they're undergoing some liquidation, good deals on clearance blankets. So if those are your stores, stop
like
in,
the one you have right
Yeah,
next
there you
to
go.
This is the special, give it a feel, Wayne. It's really nice. This is the $12.99 blanket.
There you go.
And, you know, they're queen-size blankets because we give away queen-sized beds. When you come to St. Vincent de Paul and ask for a voucher, you just got your home, you don't have a place to sleep yet, we give you a high-quality queen-size and air bed. So it's portable, and we give you 2 blankets and a set of sheets to go home with.
Great
so this
program.
Is part of the pack.
Great program, and especially top of mind with the temperatures we're looking at.
It is. It is.
Glad to have you on the show to talk about it.
Thank you for
Lauren.
supporting it.
Thank you. All right, Rolling Stone says a new movie out in theaters today would appeal to Harry Potter fans who also enjoy a good 80s Steven Spielberg flick. Eclectic. What? Will Loper has a preview of The Boy Who Would Be King coming up.
But first, it's an alert day for that bitter cold we're talking about. Chris Reese says we're seeing negative temperatures in the double digits, especially for the wind chill. His first alert forecast is next on News 3 this morning.
And those wind chill advisories do continue until at least noontime today. There will likely be more of those as we go through the weekend. Wind chills right now right around 20 degrees below zero here in Madison, Viroqua, Camp Douglas, and Wautoma, all approaching 30 degrees below zero. So are some other spots as well. So it is certainly cold out there. Actual air temperatures around -9 in town, -14 in Camp Douglas, Black River Falls. The actual air temperature near 20 degrees below zero right now. And these temperatures will likely fall another degree or two. So as you plan your day, we'll go from -11 towards -2 for your lunchtime hours, topping out around zero this afternoon. Some cloud cover does move in with the possibility of some flurries later, but more alert days do come into the picture, especially on Monday and towards next week. Monday, we're looking at a winter storm possible with heavy snow, along with blowing and drifting snow due to high winds. And then by next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we could see wind chills as cold as -25 or -45 even, if not even colder than that. So it's certainly going to be an active period of weather coming up. And of course, the News 3 First Alert Weather Team is going to keep you up to date on all of the latest.
You better believe it. All right. Thank you so much, Chris. 6:25 your time now. There has been no less than 50 film adaptations of The Legend of King Arthur in one form or another, from Disney to Monty Python to a time-traveling Martin Lawrence.
You can add another to the bunch this weekend with The Kid Who Would Be King. Here's film critic Will Loper with a preview.
Help! Somebody help me! Hey, leave him alone.
It's a tough world out there. And it's getting tougher all the time. And the world is not going to change.
Hello? Is anybody here?
It's you that has to change.
A young boy stumbles upon Excalibur and discovers he must lead a fight against evil.
Alexander Elliot! It was you who drew the sword! This realm faces mortal danger!
There are 4 days until the solar eclipse, when Morgana will enter the world of the living.
And I'm supposed to stop her? That's ridiculous. I'm 12.
The Kid Who Would Be King is rated PG.
I know. You're my knights, and this is the round table. Quick, Bedders, lift up the flaps.
Oh my God, you're such a nerd. There, Will's going to have a review of that movie there on Live at 4 come Monday.
All right, 6:26 your time now. Wisconsin business owners struggling from trade war tariffs have a pretty neat opportunity to get some face-to-face interaction with potential partners overseas. We're going to tell you how you can get involved. That's next on News 3 This Morning.
More than 50 school districts are at least on delay, not for bad roads, but for a terrible wind chill, and it might only get worse next week. We'll hear from the people helping to make those delay decisions.
And a cancer support nonprofit supporting people with cancer is reopening 5 months after historic flooding shut them down.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's 6:30 now on this Friday, January 25th. And the top story of the day, that weather, and it's just the start, Chris.
Yeah, this is only just the start of some truly cold air that's getting ready to take over, especially next week. And if we add any more snow to the ground, we just deepen the ice pack that we have down there. Wind chills right now around 20 degrees below zero here in town, 27 below as you work your way towards Mineral Point, Camp Douglas, 28 below, 29 below in Wautoma. We're all below. Everybody's below zero. It is cold out there. That's the moral of the story. So we do have those wind chill advisories that are going to continue until noon today. At noon, doesn't mean it's going to get warm. We're just going to get above the advisory criteria, but we're still going to be 10 to 15 degrees below zero in terms of those wind chills. Now, actual air temperatures will go from -11 to -7 throughout the morning. Bitterly cold stuff out there, folks. By the afternoon, topping off right around zero. It's possible to see some scattered flurries around this afternoon as well. We're going to watch that one closely, especially the farther south and west you are. Beyond that chance for flurries, we have a winter storm threat as we head into your Monday. We could be talking heavy snow along with a lot of wind blowing and drifting that snow around, creating whiteout conditions during the morning rush hour on Monday. So that is going to be something we have to watch closely. But beyond that, some of the coldest air on the globe will settle in across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes and just really take hold of the country. This is going to be headline making for millions of people talking about just how cold it is. So let's find the silver lining and talk about your traffic this morning. Roads are in great shape. Yeah, no snow cover on a lot of the main roads anyway. There's still some on the side roads in the neighborhoods, but traffic is moving along smoothly. We're seeing our typical backups that we see on Stoughton Road at this time, along with downtown. And then as we zoom out around Dane County, things are moving smoothly for the most part.
We can't talk enough about how dangerous this cold can be, though. I mean, frostbite can set in pretty quickly.
Yeah, and this temperature right around half an hour. But some of the model temperatures that we're seeing for, say, Wednesday morning next week, we could see frostbite in about 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to see even more school closings, especially as we get towards next week.
Oh, yeah, the folks at the weather office, Chris and Hattie, you guys are going to keep an eye on it.
Yes, we will.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Chris.
So a handful of schools today and districts like Richland, Pecatonica, and Edgewood High School say it is too cold already for their students to come to school today.
Another 50 others, including my friends out in Highland, are delayed with a wind chill right around 20 below right now. Christina Laurie staying nice and toasty and warm and safe inside this morning to explain. Good morning, Christina.
Leah and Danica, that's where school administrators say many students should stay. Just in the last 30 minutes, Edgewood High School announced they've canceled classes today as well. All Dane County school districts, besides the Madison Metropolitan School District, follow the National Weather Service's recommendation to cancel classes when wind chills hit 35 degrees below. That's the temperature when frostbite can set in 10 minutes or less. But last year, Madison lowered its bar, calling off classes when wind chills hit -25, citing low attendance on cold days as a major factor. Most school districts here in Wisconsin build in an extra 5 to 6 days, 35 to 40 hours in total, into their schedules for weeks like this, where snow and cold cause cancellations. Administrators say that's what we get for living in Wisconsin.
Just because we had a snow day Wednesday has no bearing on whether we make a cold weather call day tomorrow, or the fact that the forecast calls for snow Sunday into Monday. We'll evaluate each one of those independently, and if the right call is to call off school, we'll call off school.
Sunday night storm could be another one to watch. It could also be more challenging for schools. For snow days, there are no clear-cut guidelines, with administrators looking at how much snow will fall, how safe the roads are to drive on, and whether sidewalks are cleared in time. Now, Madison schools won't have class today, but that's because of an already planned grading day, not because of these cold temperatures. Sun Prairie, Verona, and the Middleton Cross Plains District all have not announced any delays or closures, so we're expecting class there to go on as usual.
Yeah, really dangerously cold temperatures today, and kids out at the bus stop could be at risk for some frostbite, so this is probably a good idea. Try to wait it out a little bit. Christina Laurie reporting from the studio. Thank you, Christina.
Here in Madison, the extended snow emergency for downtown is about to end in half an hour. It was supposed to end yesterday, but the city says crews needed another night to clear out the roads. That means if you didn't park on the odd side of the street overnight, you're likely waking up to a ticket on your car if it hasn't been towed.
So while we're talking about snow to come and really, really, really cold temperatures, other people are still recovering from this last summer's flooding.
Yeah, it's now been almost 5 months since that flooding forced Gilda's in Middleton out of their clubhouse. Now they officially have a reopening date set. Gilda's has been serving those with cancer in the community for almost 10 years now. This past summer, the flooding in Middleton left them with 10 feet of water in their basement. Everything there ended up a total loss for the nonprofit, and they had to close while they rebuilt. But starting March 4th, that space will be open again.
For us to be able to say, almost 6 months to the day, we're going to be back in the clubhouse and up and running. We've had programs offered at different community locations throughout this time that we've been closed. And now we're finally going to be back home. And that's exactly what it feels like. We're finally coming back home.
Gilda's staff has moved back into the clubhouse while contractors work to finish the basement and the second floor still. A ribbon-cutting ceremony is going to be held on March 14th.
New this morning, Wisconsin business owners looking to increase their markets overseas have a chance to make connections in China this spring. The state's Economic Development Corporation is organizing a trip in April for companies hoping to meet with potential partners in places like Shanghai and Beijing. The 13-day trip includes meetings with business leaders, particularly in the fields of machine manufacturing and making scientific instruments. Now, the $1,500 cost includes everything but meals and the flight to and from China. Anyone interested has about a month to apply.
That announcement comes the same week Chinese representatives were supposed to come to the U.S. to talk about the ongoing trade war, but President Trump canceled that visit. The tariffs on American goods have put a particular strain on our state's farmers, including ginseng producers here. Wisconsin, by the way, is Wisconsin's third biggest export market, behind only Canada and Mexico.
6:37 right now. The Badger men's basketball team is fighting to get back into the top 25 in the country. We will preview this weekend's Big Ten matchup in the morning sprint.
And the leader at the helm of tonight's Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra concert is going to amaze you. We're going to hear why this 12-year-old, yeah, you heard that right, is headlining the Masterwork series. That's when News 3 This Morning continues.
Welcome back. The Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra kicks off its Masterworks series tonight, which features some world-renowned musicians.
This is such a cool story, but tonight's soloist is a bit different from the others. Take a listen. Pretty impressive, right? What's more impressive? That is 12-year-old Miriam Smith. She picked up the cello at 4 and started touring by age 8. Now she juggles homeschooling, ballet, and martial arts with 4 hours of practice every day. Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra music director Andrew Sewell heard her play in Ohio 3 years ago and knew that one day he'd invite her to play in Wisconsin.
She's got the goods and she's got the talent, and people are going to be absolutely amazed at the level of musicianship from one so young. So I would safely say she is a child prodigy.
Child prodigy. Wow, quite the praise there. You can hear Miriam perform tonight at 7:30 at the Overture Center's Capitol Theater. There are still a number of tickets left online. You can get those at tickets.overture.org. The Chamber Orchestra is inviting any federal workers on furlough to see the concert for free.
That's the thing, is prodigy is one thing. Yeah, got to put a lot of hard work in there, but there has to be some natural level of talent to be that good at that young of an age. It's amazing.
12 years old, 4 hours of practice a day. Oh, along with martial arts. Right. No big deal.
And everything else. That makes me feel really lazy.
I know. Really lame. Really lame. Was not doing that at 12.
Maybe I'll pick up an instrument sometime here soon. Thank you, Miriam, for the inspiration there.
6:42 your time now. Chris says this forecast, not super inspirational. It's the kind we're going to be telling our grandkids about, though. He's looking at a record 5 alert days in the forecast, starting with a high of 0 for your Friday. He's updating his models coming up.
Beautiful sunrise, though. Soak it in. First, it is January 25th. We want to say happy birthday to Ella, Emerson, and all the kiddos turning 3 today. Thank you so much for celebrating with News 3 this morning.
Welcome back. Super Bowl 53 is almost a week away, and we're getting a glimpse of the really cute ad you're about to see.
Yeah, but you may not immediately know what they're trying to sell you.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man?
Maybe not what Bob Dylan had in mind when he wrote that song, Blowin' in the Wind, but the message here is that Budweiser is powering its breweries with wind power. The good girl you're seeing here is Phoebe. She comes from a breeder in California. Her ears and jowls were just what the casting crew needed to showcase the company's wind-powered message. Chris Reese, we were wishing for not a lot of wind today in your forecast because holy smokes, it's going to bring the chill.
Yeah, wind power is going to be a thing, but that Arctic air is also going to be a thing, and together that's not good for us. The wind chill right now is colder or warmer per se compared to what will come up to date as we get you towards next week. Right now 20 degrees below zero is what it feels like. The Dells only feeling like -12, so that's good news. Things getting a little bit better there. Camp Douglas feeling like -28 right now, but we do have those wind chill advisories for all of southern Wisconsin until noon today. Then they'll drop. We'll probably see some more as we head into your Saturday morning. We zoom out just a little bit, and those wind chill advisories really encompass all of the upper Midwest, along with a small patch of some wind chill warnings throughout eastern Iowa and northwestern Illinois. Let's track how the wind chill is going to change throughout the day. By 10 o'clock, wind chills right around -19. Towards noon, wind chills getting better, closer towards about -10 to -15, but still on a cold note. At the warmest part of the day, those wind chills will likely still feel around -5 to -15, depending on what part of the state you're in. The farther you are towards the lakeshore, the colder that wind chill is going to feel. But overnight tonight, we get cold once again. Wind chills as cold as -20 to 25 at times. And then by sunrise tomorrow, the winds will start to relax. And I think that's going to help things out just a little bit. But it's still going to be a pretty cold day. At least it's beautiful. An absolutely gorgeous shot taking shape right now over the Capitol. Temperatures will go from -11 towards 0 as we go throughout your day, along with the possibility of some clouds and flurries later on this afternoon and evening. But this Arctic high is going to stay in control for now, allowing more and more Arctic air to spill in here from really the other side of the globe. And some of the coldest air on the globe could arrive towards our part of the country as we get you towards next week. This is known as the polar vortex right here. Watch as that essentially settles in over the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, really the eastern half of the country. So folks, we are talking some days where wind chills could be a lot colder than they are right now. Highs will struggle to get above 0 again. By next Wednesday, we are talking -6 for your high. And if it's not cold enough, there's another winter storm potential that we do have. Here's the GFS for Sunday night through rush hour Monday morning and even towards rush hour on Monday evening, showing heavy snow and a lot of wind around here. That model is not alone. It is supported with another very reliable model showing that heavy snow coming in at 11 o'clock on Sunday with the heaviest right around rush hour. And we are talking blowing snow, whiteout conditions, and a lot of wind with that as well. So we're going to be watching that closely over the weekend along with the wind chill. Several alert days. We've got 5 of them right now, which is the most in station history. It was almost 8. You could argue that Saturday, Sunday, and next Friday could be alert days as well. But the reality is they're some of the most tolerable days of our forecast. Things are still certainly going to be very cold in the meantime. Here's your pet walk, Pam and Friend in Stoughton there. And I think cuddle weather.
Yeah,
they have the message down, bundling up right there with each other. How cute.
They blend right in.
I know, they do blend right in. 0 degrees by 3 o'clock if you're walking your cats.
Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
Morning Sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 This Morning. 6:52, time for the morning sprint. About 50 school districts have delayed start times. A handful are closed this morning. Christina Lurie tells us how those decisions are made when it comes to the cold.
But we start with Chris Reese's dangerously cold forecast with wind chills down in the -20s. Right, Chris?
That's right, Leah. We are talking wind chills right now, right around -20 here in Madison, -26 over towards Kenosha, Wautoma, and Camp Douglas have wind chills approaching -30. Those wind chill advisories will continue through noon before we could see more. Actual air temperatures will go from -11 to -7 throughout the morning, only to top out around a warm 0 for this afternoon.
Canceled or delayed classes, a decision they say ultimately comes down to safety. Administrators here in South Central Wisconsin talked to the National Weather Service and health experts several years ago. That's when they made the call to use wind chill readings of -35 as their cutoff. The majority of districts use that measure, but last year Madison schools changed their threshold to -25. Now they don't have classes today, but that's not because of weather, rather a regularly scheduled reading day off.
Thank you so much, Christina. No one should really be outside for any extended period of time this morning. If you or someone you know doesn't have a place to get warm, there are a number of options. First United Methodist downtown is opening an emergency shelter this morning. Women and families can stay overnight at the Salvation Army. Men can go to the Grace Drop-In Shelter and Porch Light. Everyone else is welcome at public places like the Capitol and public library locations.
It's cold for you, but you can wear coats and hats and mittens, and they only have what they have.
Whether it's a dog, cat, cow, or horse, you'll want to pay special attention to your animals in this cold and bring them inside if you can. That means taking pets out for shorter walks as well. Frostbite is possible within 30 minutes in this morning's cold, so veterinarians recommend checking your pup's paws for cracking or bleeding on a frequent basis and wiping them down to make sure ice doesn't get stuck between their toes.
Now you're really in trouble. Could be ripping open walls, lath and plaster patching, insurance claims. It could snowball.
Those are some of the dangers you're facing if a pipe bursts in your home. Plumbers here in Madison say running your faucets occasionally and even letting them drip overnight in this kind of weather can help prevent a frozen or a burst pipe. Opening cabinet doors under sinks to let in warmer air and turning up your thermostat a couple of degrees is also recommended.
Madison police are looking for the person who drove into a West Side business and ran away. The car was completely inside Di Rienzo Monument when officers and firefighters arrived around 1:30 this morning. That building's located at the intersection of Regent Street and Highland Avenue right next to West High School. No one was there at the time. The driver was not on the scene, so it's unclear if that person was hurt.
A longtime advisor to President Trump is under arrest in Florida this morning, charged with witness tampering and other crimes. Roger Stone will be in court later today for 7 charges filed by special counsel Robert Mueller. Campaign advisors told the special counsel Stone might have connections with WikiLeaks. That's one of the organizations that made thousands of Democratic emails public before the 2016 election. One source said Stone took credit for the timing of that information that damaged Hillary Clinton's candidacy.
Starting today, some Central American migrants seeking asylum in this country will have to wait for their day in court in Mexico. The policy would not be applied to children traveling along or asylum seekers from Mexico. That change is expected to be announced today at the border in California, at the same place where more than 6,000 migrants from Central America arrived at the border just a few months ago.
A new Marquette Law School poll shows strong support for some of Governor Evers' top priorities. The poll shows the majority, 55%, are in support of raising the minimum wage. Governor Evers has said he will provide a pathway for raising it in his budget. The governor also says he'll provide a first step toward legalizing medical marijuana in his budget. The poll shows 59% back full legalization.
Ethan Happ and the Badger men's basketball team are hoping to score their 3rd Big Ten win in a row when they face Northwestern this weekend. They'll host the Wildcats at the Kohl Center tomorrow afternoon. They followed up last weekend's huge upset of number 2 ranked Michigan with a 12-point win on the road against Illinois on Wednesday. Another win could help them get back into the top 25.
6:56 now. Let's turn over to Josh Tim with a look at your First Alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning, guys. The usual crowd beginning to pop up on the westbound side of the Beltline. A few brake lights starting to show up between Stoughton Road and Seminole Highway. Inbound John Nolan, you're tapping the brakes near the Olin Avenue and North Shore Drive intersections heading into the downtown area. Busier on Verona Road between Highway PD and the Beltline. That's going to add a couple minutes. Now, their main routes leading into the city, they're moving along to usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your First Alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh. Have a safe weekend. Stay warm.
And in addition to the traffic, we are into the cold, rather. We are watching the possibility of a winter storm as we head into Sunday. Here's one of the models for Sunday at 7:30. Notice the snow arriving from the west. This is your Monday morning commute, and this also likely to have a lot of wind with it. And that continues into Monday evening as well. Beyond that, some of the coldest air on the globe is preparing to take hold of the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. We could see wind chills colder than -50.
Well, and for now, it is still probably around -20 out there. Please be safe and stay warm.